They told you the universe is vast, cold, and indifferent, but they were wrong. What if every thought you think, every emotion you feel, sends ripples through the very fabric of space and time? What if your mind isn't just a receiver of reality but the architect of it? Science barely touches the surface, but ancient mystics knew the world outside mirrors the world within. When your thoughts shift, so does everything else. The energy you emit from your mind speaks a language the universe understands. Like a cosmic mirror, it reflects not what you want but who you are being. If you dwell in fear, you see chaos. If you believe in miracles, you experience them. This is not philosophy, it's physics of the soul. Your mind is not a prisoner of circumstance. It is the engineer of probability. Most people walk through life reacting. You were born to create, to shape, to alter, and it begins not out there but in here, in the quiet chambers of your own mind. Everything you see is filtered through the lens you hold. Change the lens, and the whole world changes with it. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up and repeat the same thoughts as the day before, feel the same emotions, react to the same triggers, and wonder why nothing ever changes. Their minds have become loops of memories instead of engines of creation. Every single one of us is born with the power to rewire our perception of reality. The question is not whether the universe responds to us, but how clearly we are transmitting our inner truth. A single, focused thought has more power than 1,000 scattered ones. Your beliefs form a framework through which all of your experiences flow. If you believe the world is hostile, you will notice aggression. If you believe people are good, you will see kindness. Reality is not objective in the way we were taught. It is filtered, interpreted, and projected. You don't see things as they are. You see things as you are. And that realization is both terrifying and liberating. Because if your current mindset shaped your present, then a new mindset can shape a new future. Every time you choose a new thought, you plant a new seed in the field of infinite possibility. And the more emotion you pour into that thought, the faster it grows. We are all vibrating at different frequencies. This is not just spiritual metaphor, this is measurable science. Thoughts produce electromagnetic waves. Emotions create measurable energy fields. Your brain emits waves, your heart emits frequencies. And the combination of the two creates a resonance pattern that the universe aligns with. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt tension without anyone saying a word? That's the power of unseen energy. People pick up on the vibrations you carry. The universe responds in the same way. The stronger the frequency, the stronger the alignment. This is why people who radiate confidence seem to attract opportunity. It's not luck, it's resonance. Everything is energy, and the quality of your energy depends on the quality of your thoughts and the clarity of your intention. A scattered mind produces a scattered life. A focused mind creates focused outcomes. It's not about thinking positive all the time. It's about thinking intentionally. It's about knowing that what you think matters not just emotionally, but physically, universally. Every great transformation in human history began with a single thought. Someone dared to think differently. They dared to believe in something that didn't yet exist in the physical realm. The airplane existed first in the imagination of the Wright brothers. The light bulb was born in the mind of Thomas Edison. Even the idea of freedom began as a thought before it became a movement. The universe doesn't create first in matter, it creates in mind. The mind is the workshop of the cosmos. What you visualize repeatedly, what you feel deeply, what you expect consistently, these are the blueprints the universe uses to shape your reality. You don't need to move mountains with your hands. You need to shift them with your thoughts. You need to learn the art of inner command, because the universe is not responding to what you say, it's responding to who you are. And who you are is a pattern of thought and feeling. Every morning, you set the tone for your reality. Are you broadcasting peace or panic, gratitude or resentment, abundance or lack? The answer to that question will echo throughout your day, attracting events, people, and outcomes that match your internal frequency. People often wonder why their desires don't manifest. They say affirmations, make vision boards, meditate, but deep down, they are still vibrating in fear. They still doubt. They still expect failure more than success. And the universe listens to that. You can't fake energy. You can't mask a frequency. You can say, "I am wealthy" 1,000 times. But if your body is tensed with anxiety and your mind flooded with scarcity, the dominant vibration is lack. The universe speaks in frequency, not language. That's why alignment is everything. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with your vision, the universe has no choice but to respond. It's not personal, it's law. Just like gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not. The laws of energy respond regardless of your awareness. But the moment you become conscious of them, you gain power. You stop being a victim of life and become a creator. You stop waiting for change and start becoming it. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming the external world for your condition, the job, the economy, the relationships, the past. But as long as your mind is enslaved to the outside world, your future will always look like your past. True freedom comes when you reclaim the power of your mind, when you realize that every emotion you feel is a choice, that every reaction can be transformed into a response, that every limiting belief can be dissolved by awareness. Your mind is a tool, not a prison. But like any tool, it must be used consciously. Otherwise, it becomes a weapon that turns against you. Your thoughts can either be chains that bind you or wings that lift you. The difference lies in your awareness. Are you thinking by default? Or by design? Are you repeating mental scripts written by others? Or are you writing your own? These are not just philosophical questions. They are practical keys to reshaping your life from the inside out. Children are the purest example of the mind's power. They imagine without limits. They dream without fear. They believe in the impossible because no one has yet told them it can't be done. That childlike mind is still within you. It's just been buried under layers of logic, trauma, programming, and societal expectation. But it can be reclaimed. Imagination is not just for artists, it is the raw material of reality. If you can't see it in your mind, you'll never hold it in your hand. And if you keep seeing what you fear, then you are magnetizing exactly what you don't want. This is why mastering the mind is not optional, it's essential. The battlefield is not outside, it's within, and your victory starts with awareness. Every time you catch a negative thought and replace it with an empowering one, you shift timelines. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you realign your trajectory. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Are you spiraling upward or downward? The answer always lies in the quality of your thoughts. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for aligning the mind with the universe. It's not about escaping reality, it's about reconnecting with the creative source within you. In silence, the noise of the world fades and the voice of your intuition grows louder. That voice is not just your subconscious, it is the part of you that is already connected to the fabric of the universe. When you still the mind, you create space for clarity, and in clarity, intention becomes powerful. You stop sending mixed signals, you stop doubting your desires, you begin to know that what you desire is already on its way, not because of hope, but because of alignment. Meditation is not a ritual, it is a recalibration. It brings the chaotic waves of thought into coherence, and in that coherence, your energy becomes pure signal, undistorted, focused, potent. This is the state in which manifestation becomes natural, not forced, not begged for, simply allowed. Every emotion carries a frequency. Gratitude, joy, love, these are high vibrations. Fear, guilt, shame, these are low. The higher your frequency, the faster your reality shifts. It's not that bad things never happen to high-vibe people. It's that their reaction to those things alters the outcome. They don't spiral downward, they transmute. They find meaning in struggle and use it to grow. This is not delusion, it's mastery. It's understanding that the way you respond to life is more powerful than what happens in life. And the more consistently you choose higher emotions, the more momentum your manifestations gain. Life begins to feel synchronistic. Coincidences multiply. Right people show up, doors open. And all of it traces back to the unseen shift you made inside your mind. Energy flows where attention goes. The more you focus on what's missing, the more lack you experience. The more you focus on what's working, the more abundance flows. This is not just a cute phrase, it's a principle. Your attention is a spotlight, and whatever you shine it on expands. This is why gratitude is so transformative. It tunes your focus to what's already good. And that focus multiplies goodness. If you want more, celebrate what you already have. If you want peace, become grateful for the present moment. If you want success, honor the small wins. These emotional practices are not just feel-good habits, they are energetic portals. They shift your frequency from resistance to allowance. And in that state, the universe delivers more of what you're ready to receive. Your mind is a portal, a transmitter, a field of endless potential. Every time you close your eyes and imagine a better life, a better world, a better version of yourself, you are not just daydreaming. You are sculpting new quantum possibilities. You are tapping into the raw blueprint of creation. And the more you visit that imagined reality, the more familiar it becomes, the more real it becomes, until eventually it collapses into your current timeline. This is how change happens, first in thought, then in feeling, then in behavior, then in reality. But the seed is always thought. The mind is the womb of the universe. Whatever you plant there will eventually bloom. So plant with intention, water, with emotion, and trust the timing, because the universe is always listening. And it's not responding to your words, it's responding to the frequency of your belief, your clarity, and your inner state. The moment you begin to think with awareness, feel with purpose, and act with alignment, you no longer live in the universe, you co-create it. Close your eyes for a moment and think of your biggest desire. Now ask yourself, does the version of you who has that desire already exist within your imagination? If yes, then understand this: your mind just touched a parallel version of reality. You didn't fantasize. You remembered. Every outcome you could ever want already exists in the quantum soup of possibilities. But only your focus decides which one becomes real. When you complain, you collapse the wave of better outcomes. When you believe, you breathe life into them. Your thoughts aren't echoes, they're commands. Your energy isn't passive, it's sculpting something. Each moment, you are either reinforcing the past or scripting a new future. The universe is not waiting for permission to respond. It's responding now. But to what? Your doubt, your faith, your clarity, your confusion. Everything reacts to the dominant frequency of your mind. You're not asking the universe. You're training it. You're programming it. And the code is written in emotion, clarity, and intent. Once you realize this, you stop wishing and start aligning. Quantum physics speaks of superposition, a state where all possibilities exist at once until observation collapses them into one. The observer effect is not just an abstract theory, it's a living truth. You are the observer, and your attention is the act of collapsing possibility into form. That means your reality is not built randomly, it's built consciously, through where you place your awareness and how you emotionally engage with it. Every version of you, successful, joyful, broken, healed, poor, wealthy, already exists in the field of potential. But the one you experience is the one your thoughts harmonize with. This is not a metaphor. It is a technology of consciousness. You are tuning the instrument of your mind to match a frequency. And that frequency draws in matching experiences. When you wake up and dwell in self-pity, your signal is sending out a vibration of lack. That vibration resonates with similar frequencies, bringing more experiences to confirm your inner world. But when you wake up and embody the version of you who already has what you desire, your energy shifts timelines. The world doesn't change because you want it to. It changes because you do. There is a reason why people who visualize consistently, feel their goals with passion, and walk with inner certainty tend to experience rapid transformation. They're not forcing the world, they're flowing with it. They're not chasing change, they're embodying it. Your mind doesn't understand future and past the way you do. It understands patterns, and the most dominant pattern always wins. If you repeat thoughts of failure more than thoughts of success, your mind will conclude that failure is your reality and build a world to match. But if you repeat the thoughts of your highest self until they become familiar, your mind will adapt. And when your mind adapts, your frequency adapts. When your frequency adapts, the world must follow. We are not talking about delusion. We are talking about intentional design. You are not meant to react endlessly to what is. You are meant to create from what could be. The greatest people in history, visionaries, leaders, artists, knew this. They saw the invisible and refused to betray it. They walked as if the unseen was more real than the seen, and the world eventually bowed to their inner conviction. Everything you desire already exists as a vibration. The relationship, the opportunity, the transformation, they are not out there, they are in here, waiting for you to tune in. It's like a radio station that is always playing. But unless your receiver is set to that frequency, you won't hear the music. Your job is not to force the music into existence. Your job is to become the kind of person who lives at that level of reality. That's why inner work is the real work. Meditation, visualization, affirmation, these are not spiritual decorations. They are tools to recalibrate your vibration. The more you practice them, the more you shift your signal. The more you shift your signal, the more your life morphs. Because you don't get what you want. You get what you are. It's easy to say, I want success, and still vibrate in fear. It's easy to say, I believe in abundance, while feeling scarcity in every breath. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your energetic consistency. That's why belief must become embodiment. It's not enough to say it, you must feel it, breathe it, walk in it. Your actions must reflect the assumption that it's already done. When you do that, the world treats you differently. People sense something unshakable in you. Events begin to conspire in your favor. You start noticing synchronicities, doors opening, resources showing up at the right time. This is not coincidence, it's confirmation. It's the universe showing you that your alignment is working. Doubt is a natural visitor, but when you feed it, it becomes your master. When you feel doubt, observe it. Ask, is this thought coming from the version of me I want to become? Or is it coming from the version I'm leaving behind? Most often, it's the latter. Your old self is not your enemy, it's your previous programming. It got you here, but it can't take you there. Reprogramming your mind doesn't mean fighting the old, it means feeding the new. The more you nurture thoughts of confidence, clarity, purpose, and joy, the weaker the old signals become. Eventually, the new vibration becomes dominant, and reality follows. The mind is like a garden. You can leave it unattended, and weeds of fear, lack, and doubt will take over. Or you can tend to it daily, planting seeds of vision, watering them with emotion, protecting them from the pests of negativity. This is not a what-I'm effort. It's a daily devotion, a commitment to the inner over the outer. Because the outer is always a delayed reflection of the inner, and once the reflection shows up, it becomes harder to change. But if you focus on shifting the cause, the effects begin to shift on their own. You don't dig up the roots every time you want a flower to bloom. You trust the process. The same applies to manifestation. Once you plant the thought and energize it with belief and emotion, your job is to become the version of you who already has it. That version doesn't worry. That version doesn't doubt. That version walks in peace, knowing it's done. Every thought sends a signal. Every emotion sends a charge. Every expectation becomes an instruction to the field of potential. So what are you expecting today? Disappointment, rejection, delay? Or are you expecting miracles, progress, connection, joy? You are more powerful than you've been told. Your mind is not a mirror. It's a projector. And what you project onto the screen of life becomes your experience. But here's the key. The projector doesn't care what film you load. It will play whatever is given. That's why awareness is the turning point. When you realize that your experience is being filtered through old beliefs, you gain the power to insert a new film, a new story, a new identity. Your identity is the container for your reality. Most people try to change their life without changing who they think they are. That's why it doesn't work. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you'll find ways to struggle even in good times. If you see yourself as unlucky, your subconscious will ignore luck when it shows up. The mind has a loyalty to its own image. It will bend perception to maintain identity. That's why the most radical thing you can do is not change your goals, it's change your self-image. See yourself as the person who already lives your dream, not in the distant future. Now, feel what that version feels. Think what that version thinks. Act how that version acts. Because when your inner world shifts, your outer world has no choice but to reorganize. The version of you who is everything you want is not imaginary. It's simply unrealized. And you reach that version not by waiting, but by aligning every Thought is a step toward or away from that version. Every habit either supports or contradicts that identity. That's why consistency is so powerful. When you consistently think, feel, and act in alignment with your future self, you become that self. And that self doesn't need to chase. That self attracts the right people, ideas, events. They begin to find their way to you, not because you chase them, but because you match them. That's the secret most people miss. The universe responds not to need, but to resonance. If you are desperate, you push away what you want. If you are grateful, confident, and calm, you draw it in. Not because you tricked the universe, but because you became the match. Embodying your future self is not pretending. It's not lying. It's tuning into a real version of you that already exists in the field of infinite potential. It's remembering what you are capable of. It's activating a dormant frequency. And once activated, that frequency begins to emit signals that attract a new reality. This is not a fantasy. It's the natural result of energy aligning with vision. You've felt it before in moments of inspiration, flow, joy. Those moments weren't random. They were glimpses into your potential. And the more you anchor into those feelings, the more real they become. Your reality doesn't shift because you want it to. It shifts because you've become someone new. Change is not about fixing yourself. It's about remembering who you are before the world told you what you couldn't be. When you align with your true frequency, the one beneath the fear, the doubt, the conditioning, you become unstoppable. Not because the world changes, but because your perception does. And perception is the gatekeeper of experience. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the frequency that calls in circumstance, and you can change that frequency. Not someday. Now, with a thought, with a decision, with a shift in attention. The moment you stop feeding the old narrative and begin breathing life into a new one, the universe listens. It always has. It always will. It's not waiting for the perfect moment. It's waiting for your alignment. The reason it often feels hard is because you're shifting energy that's been in place for years. It's not instant because you've practiced the opposite for so long. But every time you choose a new thought, every time you interrupt an old belief, every time you act from your future self rather than your past, you are changing your frequency. And that change builds, it compounds, until one day, what used to feel impossible becomes normal. What used to be a dream becomes memory. And what used to be struggle becomes ease. All because you tuned in, you remembered who you were, and you let your mind alter the universe. Imagine walking into a room full of mirrors. Now imagine screaming at your reflection, hoping it smiles back. That's what most people do with life. They expect joy without choosing joy. They expect peace while projecting stress. The universe only reflects. It doesn't judge. It doesn't decode words, it decodes vibration. If you say I am happy while feeling desperate, the universe listens to the desperation, not the declaration. Your mind is an antenna, and the universe is the signal tower. But here's the secret. The station you tune into is the station you receive. Your reality is not built by chance. It's tuned in by choice. Most people run from thought to thought, like changing channels with a broken remote, unaware that the signal is theirs to command. But when you still the noise and direct your inner dialogue, your outer world rearranges. It's not magic, it's mechanics. You are not meant to chase reality. You are meant to generate it from within. The clearer the broadcast of your mind, the sharper the reality becomes. The universe isn't random. It is precise, energetically neutral, but responsive. It doesn't play favorites. It simply mirrors your energetic pattern. This means your results in life, your relationships, opportunities, income, health, sense of peace are not rewards or punishments. They are reflections. The moment you realize this, everything changes. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you begin asking, what am I emitting that matches this? And when you do that, you reclaim your power. You stop blaming. You start transforming. Most people react to life. They live in response mode, always adjusting to the world around them. But the truth is, the world around you is always adjusting to the signal you're putting out. You're not the effect. You are the cause. You're not an accident. You're a broadcast. Every day, with every thought, you're broadcasting a frequency. Every emotion intensifies that signal. And every consistent thought-emotion pair creates a pattern. This pattern is what the universe reads. It's like typing code into a machine. If the code says fear, the machine returns reasons to fear. If the code says trust, the machine returns support. There is no need to force the machine. You only need to change the code. But to do that, you must become aware of what you're thinking, feeling, and expecting. Awareness is the master key. Without it, you live in unconscious loops. But with it, you can begin to write a new script. The mirror cannot smile first. You must smile. The reflection cannot wave first. You must wave. Life works the same way. Want love? Be love. Want abundance? Embody gratitude. Want peace? Radiate calm. Want respect? Respect yourself. You cannot withdraw what you have not deposited. Life does not respond to demands. It responds to demonstration. Your inner state is always your first act of communication. With the universe, it's the frequency you send out before a word leaves your lips. And that frequency becomes your environment. People often misunderstand the law of attraction. They think it means thinking happy thoughts and getting everything you want. But attraction isn't about wishing, it's about matching. You attract not what you hope for, but what you are in harmony with. You might want a different life, but if your dominant vibration is fear, scarcity, self-doubt, or guilt, you'll continue to experience conditions that mirror those frequencies. The mind and heart must be tuned together to transmit clearly. The mind creates the vision, the heart energizes it. When both are aligned, the signal is powerful and the reflection becomes inevitable. There's a reason visualization works for athletes, performers, and leaders. They're not merely imagining outcomes, they're aligning energy. They see the result so clearly that the body and mind begin to behave as if it's already true. That belief, that certainty, reshapes neural pathways, alters behavior, and changes perception. And that change in perception causes them to notice opportunities others miss. They become magnetic to the result because they are no longer trying to make it happen. They're letting it happen through alignment. You can do the same. See the version of yourself you wish to become. Feel the feelings that version would feel. Move like that version. Speak like that version. Not in pretense but in practice. Because energy doesn't lie. The universe doesn't wait for proof. It waits for consistency. You cannot think one way and live another. You cannot desire a new life while constantly affirming the old one. If you want freedom, you must stop rehearsing captivity. If you want joy, stop replaying sorrow. If you want growth, stop repeating limitation. The mind learns through repetition. Whatever you repeat becomes normal, and whatever becomes normal becomes real. Most people repeat the past because it's familiar, not because it's true. Familiar pain is often more comfortable than unfamiliar joy, but comfort zones are not sanctuaries, they are cages. And the key to escaping them lies in shifting your broadcast. It's not enough to think new thoughts once. You must dwell in them. Meditate on them. Let them sink deep into your subconscious. You must feel their truth even before you see their result. Because the universe doesn't follow time, it follows energy. What you feel now is more important than what you've experienced before. Right now is where creation happens. Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Now. This moment is your broadcast tower. And the more deliberately you use it, the more accurately life responds. Imagine your mind as a film projector. The reel you insert becomes the movie you watch. Most people replay old reels, past trauma, old failures, heartbreaks, betrayals, and then they wonder why the movie keeps repeating. To watch a new movie, you must insert a new reel, one filled with possibility, worthiness, love, success. But just as film needs light to be seen, your new thoughts need belief to manifest. You cannot insert a positive reel while doubting its power. You must illuminate it with faith, not blind faith, but bold expectation, the kind that says, "This is who I am now, and life will catch up." The challenge is that old thoughts feel real because they've been rehearsed so often. They have grooves in the brain, tracks in the nervous system. But every time you choose a new thought, you weaken the old path and strengthen the new one. Neuroplasticity proves this. The brain can rewire itself, but it needs repetition, focus, emotion. You're not just trying to be positive. You're retraining your nervous system. You're redirecting your signal. And with every consistent effort, the broadcast becomes clearer, Think of a radio dial. If you're slightly off the right frequency, the signal is fuzzy, but a tiny adjustment brings clarity. The same is true for your mind. If you're almost aligned with your desire but not quite, it may not manifest, because almost matching is still mismatch. The universe is precise. This is why attention to your inner state matters. Are you aligned with love or lack, trust or tension, creation or reaction? You must constantly tune yourself, just as musicians tune their instruments. A violin doesn't stay in tune by accident. It stays in tune by awareness and adjustment. So does your life. People ask, how do I know if I'm aligned? You feel it. There's peace. Not necessarily comfort, but certainty. You stop chasing. You start allowing. You begin to notice signs, small confirmations, aligned moments, chance meetings. Things just seem to fit. That's the mirror responding. That's the universe saying, yes, you're broadcasting clearly. It's not about forcing outcomes. It's about flowing with inner harmony. When you're in tune, the mirror smiles back. When you're off, the reflection distorts. The key is not to fix the reflection. The key is to adjust the signal. Some people will never shift because they are too attached to the identity the mirror gave them. They look at their current reality and assume it defines them. But reality is not identity. It's feedback, and feedback can change. You are not your results. You are the energy behind them, and energy can shift in an instant. That's why transformation doesn't take years, it takes decision. A single moment of clarity can collapse decades of doubt. A single shift in belief can realign a lifetime of patterns. But you must stop arguing for your limits. You must stop defending your wounds. The mirror will always reflect what you believe is true. You were not born to be a prisoner of perception. You were born to shape it. Your thoughts are not accidents. They are frequencies, and those frequencies are not passive, they are creators. Every belief you hold is a lens. Every lens shapes what you see. Change the lens, and the picture changes. This is not denial of reality. This is the reconstruction of it. You're not avoiding truth. You're choosing a higher one. You're not pretending. You're aligning. And in that alignment, the universe listens. The most misunderstood part of this process is that you don't need to be perfect to align. You just need to be intentional. You will have bad days. You will have low moments. But alignment isn't about perfection, it's about return. The speed with which you return to your center is more important than how often you stray from it. You fall off, come back. You doubt, reaffirm. You fear, breathe and recenter. Every return builds muscle, and over time, your default state rises. Your baseline frequency elevates, and life reflects that shift. You are not separate from the universe. You are a living expression of it. The same intelligence that moves the stars lives in your cells. The same force that expands galaxies responds to your thoughts. This is not arrogance, it's awareness. You are not the universe's pet. You are its partner. And your mind is the bridge between possibility and experience. That bridge must be walked deliberately, with presence, with clarity, with love. Because what you walk into, walks into you. This is why intention matters so deeply. Intention is not a wish, it's a direction, a declaration to the universe. This is who I am now. And when that declaration is backed by emotion, behavior, and belief, it becomes magnetic. The universe cannot resist clarity. It bends around it. It mirrors it. It amplifies it. And so, every moment becomes a choice. Will I reflect the world? Or will I project something new into it? You are never truly stuck. Stuckness is a broadcast loop. It feels real because you keep watching the same movie, but the projector is in your hands. The signal is yours to change, not by force, but by frequency, not by panic, but by peace. When you realize this, you stop screaming at the mirror. You smile, you adjust the signal, and you watch everything else shift in response. It's a strange truth few are ever taught. The universe around you doesn't just respond to what you do, it responds to who you are. And who you are is a reflection of how you think. That voice in your head, it's not just some private monologue. It's an instruction manual to the cosmos. Your beliefs, your emotional states, your unspoken expectations, these are not small, quiet energies hidden within you. They are frequencies, blueprints, orders to the universe itself. And what's wild is that the universe always listens. It always responds. Sometimes, it takes longer than you'd like. Sometimes, the results come in forms you didn't expect. But one thing is certain, your inner world will be mirrored in the external world eventually, inevitably. You live in a feedback loop, and your mind is the command center. Imagine waking up one morning with a deep sense of peace. Nothing on the outside has changed. Same job, same people, same responsibilities, but inside, everything is lighter. Now imagine walking through the world with that peaceful energy. Do you think your interactions would stay the same? Would the world reflect that peace or continue echoing the old noise of stress and doubt? The answer lies in something ancient and overlooked. The universe is an echo chamber of your dominant vibration. If you constantly emit fear, lack, and frustration, you will meet people, opportunities, and events that validate those emotions. Not because life is cruel, but because it is loyal to your signal. The universe is like a mirror that refuses to lie. It shows you what you are, not what you pretend to be. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe. And belief isn't just some passing thought, it's a state of mind encoded with emotion. It's a frequency so consistent that the universe treats it as truth. Think about that. If you believe deep down that you are unworthy, life will show you situations that reflect that. You'll miss chances, repel support, sabotage abundance, all to remain in harmony with your internal program. The good news? Beliefs are not permanent. They're programmable. They're malleable. And you, the thinker of thoughts, hold the tools to reshape them. The ancient mystics and modern quantum physicists are starting to say the same thing. In different languages, consciousness creates reality. The observer alters the observed. Your focus, your attention, is not passive. It's a sculptor's tool. The mind, when focused, can move mountains not by magic, but by law. You see, when you change your inner frequency, you change what shows up in your outer world. This isn't about positive thinking plastered over fear. This is about authentic transformation. It's not enough to wish for something. You must become the version of yourself who naturally experiences it. Close your eyes and imagine. You already have everything you desire. Feel it. Live in it. Not someday. Now. Let your nervous system believe it's real. That's not delusion. That's rehearsal. That's alignment. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. It just obeys repetition and emotion. The more vividly you embody your desired reality, the more you shift into its frequency. And once you shift your frequency, the universe begins to rearrange itself to match it. People, events, opportunities, they'll show up in surprising ways because you finally became a match for them. But here's the trap many fall into. They want results without alignment. They want success while vibrating in self-doubt. They want love while rooted in rejection. They ask the universe for abundance while expecting struggle. That's like ordering sunshine while planting seeds in the dark. It doesn't work. You can't out-hustle your inner state. The frequency you emit always wins. And this isn't to punish you, it's to teach you. Life is not against you. It is responding to you. Every delay, every closed door, every detour, it's not random. It's feedback. It's saying, shift your signal, upgrade your belief, clear the distortion. You see, the universe isn't distant. It's woven into your thoughts when you worry. It magnifies the signal of fear. When you trust, it amplifies the signal of faith. When you complain, it sends more reasons to feel small. When you give thanks, it multiplies the blessings. This is why your mind is not just a tool, it's a force field. It sets the tone for everything that comes next. And it's not just about conscious thoughts. The deep, buried programming matters more. That's the software running beneath your surface, and it's old, passed down from parents, culture, trauma, repetition. But it can be rewritten. You have the power to rewire your brain and recondition your beliefs. That's where the real magic begins. There's a reason why two people can face the same situation and have completely different outcomes. One sees a problem, the other sees potential. One feels stuck, the other sees an opening. It's not about luck, it's about lens. Your perception shapes your experience. The lens of your mind filters what you notice, what you expect, what you prepare for. That's why inner work is the most powerful work you can do. Because when you shift your perception, you shift your universe. The great spiritual masters weren't Lucky they were aligned. They understood the laws of the mind, the laws of vibration. They knew how to command the unseen forces through clarity, stillness, and vision. You don't need to be a monk to access this power. You just need awareness, discipline, intention. The moment you stop reacting and start choosing your thoughts deliberately, you begin to shift timelines. Yes, timelines, because the universe is not fixed, it's fluid. There are infinite versions of you already existing, the version struggling, the version succeeding, the version at peace. And every thought, every emotion, every decision moves you closer to one of them. You are not static, you are in motion, and your mind is the steering wheel. Don't wait for life to convince you that you're worthy. Decide it now. Don't wait for evidence to feel abundance. Feel it first. Don't wait for love to show up to feel lovable. Embody it now. This isn't pretending, it's becoming. You have to become the vibration before the world can reflect it back to you. That's the hidden key. The outer world is slow. It lags behind your inner world. So when you shift your mindset, there might be a delay before you see results. That's the test. Will you remain in the frequency long enough for reality to catch up? Most people don't. They quit too early. They revert to the old signal. They cancel their own manifestations. Not because the universe said no, but because they stopped saying yes. Imagine if you held the new frequency long enough. Imagine if you refused to entertain the old doubts. Imagine if you tuned your mind daily like an instrument, clearing static, sharpening focus, raising your vibration. What would change? Everything. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you become different, more aligned, more magnetic, more certain. And that certainty is the most attractive force in the universe. It doesn't plead. It doesn't chase. It doesn't beg. It simply allows. It expects. It knows. And that knowing pulls realities into form. Let's not forget that emotions are your compass. They are not random, they are signals of alignment. When you feel joy, you're in sync with your highest truth. When you feel fear, it's a call to return to love. Don't suppress your emotions. Learn from them. Use them. They are feedback from the universe within you. And once you master your emotional state, not by avoiding pain, but by understanding it, you begin to master reality. Because your emotional frequency is the strongest broadcast you send. Words are surface. Emotions are frequency. And the universe listens to frequency. You were never meant to live as a victim of circumstance. You were meant to rise as a co-creator. That's not just poetry, it's physics, it's vibration, it's cause and effect. Your thoughts are not just thoughts. They are seeds. They are invitations. They are permissions you give to reality. And reality obeys. It always obeys. So ask yourself, what were you allowing? What were you rehearsing? What are you becoming? Not in words, but in your energy, your focus, your belief. The truth is, most people live by default, not design. They wake up into old programming. They react instead of choose. They carry yesterday's pain into today's potential. But not you, not anymore. Because you're waking up to the truth. You're remembering your power. You're not here to survive, you're here to create, to alter, to shape. And that starts with the mind, your mind, the place where reality begins, the place where universes unfold, the most powerful tool you've ever been given. And now, finally, you're beginning to use it. They told you reality is fixed, that the stars above and the ground beneath your feet are indifferent to who you are, or what you think. They told you you're just a visitor here. A product of evolution, an organism trapped in time, ruled by cause and effect. But that version of truth collapses under the weight of something deeper, something you've always felt, but never dared to fully believe. That reality bends when your perception does, that the moment you see with clarity, the world reshapes itself to reflect your inner vibration. What they didn't tell you is that your mind isn't reacting to the universe, it's formatting it. Each thought isn't just a spark in the brain. It's a command to the unseen, a template issued to the invisible matrix that forms the backbone of everything you can and can't touch. We've inherited the myth that we are small, and that change is slow and requires permission from the external. But everything you've experienced, every coincidence, every moment of intuition, every shift in mood that changed the events around you, these were not accidents. These were your mind communicating with a fabric more intelligent, more responsive, more alive than anything you've ever been told. We've been conditioned to believe that the material world is the parent, and our thoughts are the child, that circumstances are kings and we, the subjects. But imagine for a moment that it's reversed. That what you dwell upon in silence, what you feel intensely in private, what you visualize in detail, these are the origins of what you call experience. The universe is not dead matter. It is mind-sensitive. It listens, not with ears, but with laws far deeper than anything human language can fully explain. And these laws do not judge. They don't ask whether your thoughts are noble or destructive, optimistic or anxious. They just respond. This is why you attract chaos when you obsess over it. This is why problems multiply when you rehearse them in your mind. Your focus is not just attention, it is frequency. And frequency is the true architect of form. When your internal environment changes, the external environment must shift to match it. Not because you're wishing, but because your consciousness sets the tone, the rhythm, and the signature of the field around you. Modern science has danced around this truth. Quantum physics discovered that particles behave differently depending on observation, that waves collapse into form only when someone is watching, that there is no objective universe independent of the mind that sees it. The observer effect isn't just a lab anomaly, it's a clue, a whisper from the source that consciousness is not passive. It is not a bystander in the universe, it is the author. It's not that you control everything with thought. That's not what this is. But the way your mind vibrates, the way it believes or doubts, the way it expects or fears, these are blueprints that shape what comes next. Life is not reacting to you. It is echoing you. What you imagine repeatedly becomes your environment, not through magic, but through alignment. Repetition of thought turns into belief. Belief influences perception. Perception filters information, and information determines choices. Choices form habits. Habits sculpt identity. Identity interacts with people, places, and possibilities in a way that creates a predictable outcome. That outcome looks like fate, but it started in the invisible architecture of your mind. Your thoughts don't just live inside your skull. They ripple outward, changing what you see and what sees you. If you've ever noticed how fear seems to attract the very thing you were trying to avoid, you've already witnessed this. If you've ever shifted your mindset, and then, strangely, the world responded to you in new and unexpected ways, you've already touched the secret. But most people ignore this. They call it coincidence. They downplay it. Because accepting it would mean they are no longer victims of the world, but participants in its design. The universe is a mirror, not a machine. And mirrors don't lie. They reflect not just your actions, but your essence, your emotional tone, your underlying assumptions about reality. If you feel abandoned, it shows you evidence of that abandonment. If you feel powerful, it opens doors that were once invisible. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges or pain. Life will still be life. But the way it shows up, the way opportunities, people, and even so-called miracles appear or disappear, that is calibrated to your energetic signature. You don't just think your way to change. You feel your way to change. Emotions are deeper. Currents, they have more pull in the energetic field than dry affirmations. A single deep belief, held with emotion, can bend time. It can draw the improbable straight into your lap while everyone else calls it luck. This power is not reserved for mystics or gurus. It's your birthright. You've already used it 1,000 times without knowing. When you walked into a room and felt the energy shift. When you thought of someone and they called. When you imagined success so clearly that the steps to achieve it became obvious. These are not hallucinations. They are hints, clues from the matrix. You are always sending out vibrations, and those vibrations determine what answers you receive. The key is to become intentional, to stop treating your mind like a garbage bin of doubt and worry, to understand that you're programming the field with every inner monologue. When you complain, you magnetize more of the same. When you criticize yourself, the world agrees. But when you shift to gratitude, to vision, to power, the field rearranges itself accordingly. The universe is not stubborn. It's responsive. It wants to match your inner code. And that code is rewritten with every choice, every focus, every belief you reinforce through repetition. So the real work is not about forcing external changes. It's about internal resonance. When your thoughts align with trust, your life becomes guided. When your mind aligns with purpose, doors appear. This is not wishful thinking, it is energetic mechanics. Every intention plants a seed in the invisible. Every moment of clarity removes a layer of static. And when you hold a thought long enough, believe it deep enough, feel it intensely enough, it moves into the realm of the visible. Not because you're manipulating the world, but because you are sensing with a deeper rhythm. You are harmonizing with the intelligent field that surrounds all things. And in that harmony, your desires are not resisted, they are fulfilled by default. You are not just a body with a brain. You are consciousness, and consciousness is the original substance of the universe. Before atoms, before matter, before space and time, there was awareness. And that awareness did not die when you were born. It flowed into you. You are a channel, not a container. Your mind is a lens through which the eternal focuses itself into form. And that lens can be fogged or clear, narrow or wide. The clearer the lens, the more accurately you reflect the divine blueprint. The wider the lens, the more you see beyond limitation. Your job is not to fight the world. Your job is to refine the lens. Because once your vision changes, everything else must follow. People say seeing is believing, but it's actually the other way around. Believing is seeing. What you expect to find, you eventually do. What you habitually think about becomes familiar, and what's familiar becomes safe, and what's safe is what you gravitate toward. This is how the subconscious mind rules behavior. And because behavior is energy in motion, the universe takes your actions as commands. It gives you what you prepare for. So if you prepare for loss, it arrives. If you prepare for beauty, it reveals itself. Most people think they are being realistic, but realism is just frozen imagination. It's yesterday's fears turned into today's logic. The realists are often just people who forgot how powerful they were. The mind is the architect of perception, and perception is the gateway to manifestation. The more you cleanse your perception from bias, fear, and limitation, the more clearly the universe flows through you. Your life doesn't change when the outside shifts. It changes when your perception does. What used to be a problem becomes a pathway. What used to be resistance becomes redirection. What used to be failure becomes refinement. The universe doesn't stop being miraculous. It just stops revealing its secrets to those who are not looking with the right eyes. And those eyes are formed not in the skull, but in the soul. The eyes of the soul are opened by stillness, faith, and inner conviction. The more you cultivate inner certainty, the more reality rushes in to confirm it. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. So stop asking if you're worthy of change. Stop waiting for proof before you act. Start understanding that your belief is the first cause. You are not here to be crushed by the world. You are here to code it with your consciousness, to realize that every moment is an opportunity to emit a new frequency, that every day is a chance to rehearse a new thought until it becomes a dominant reality. Your mind is not a victim, it's a projector. The script you play inwardly becomes the scene you live outwardly. You don't need to fight for change, you need to think it, feel it, become it. Then watch how the universe, without resistance or delay, begins to reflect that signal back to you with astonishing precision. It begins in silence, not the silence of a quiet room or the stillness of the night, but the kind of silence that lives beneath thought, beneath language, beneath emotion. This silence is not absence, but presence. It is the doorway to the dimension where mind and universe dance in perfect symmetry. To enter that space is not to escape the world, but to finally meet it, to see it as it really is, fluid, responsive, alive to your inner state. What if your thoughts weren't just passing clouds, but electromagnetic pulses vibrating into the field of reality itself? What if your inner commentary wasn't just noise in your head, but the blueprint from which your external experience emerges? This is not fantasy. It is physics veiled in mysticism, science disguised as spirit. Your mind is not just in your head, it's in the room, in the walls, in the sky. The observer effect in quantum mechanics whispers of this truth, that to observe is to shape, to perceive is to change, to expect is to mold. But this truth is not limited to particles. It applies to your relationships, your career, your body, your health, your destiny. When you hold a belief, you project a frequency. That frequency interacts with the universal field. The universe listens, not to your words, but to your vibration. And vibration is determined not by what you say, but by what you believe and feel in your core. It is this unseen, unspoken inner state that becomes the architecture of the outer world. Your worries are blueprints. Your fears are instructions. Your joy is a command. Your gratitude, a cosmic invitation. The mind alters the universe not because the mind is powerful, but because the universe is participatory. It is not a cold machine ticking away in indifference, but a conscious matrix that echoes back the energy you emit. You are not a visitor in this universe, you are a co-creator of its expression. Every time you shift from fear to faith, from doubt to trust, from bitterness to love, you bend reality, not metaphorically, literally. Your body changes, your chemistry shifts, your electromagnetic field expands or contracts. The people you meet change, the opportunities that appear alter, the so-called coincidences multiply, the moments of luck become predictable. This is the physics of alignment, and alignment begins within. When you align your thoughts with what you desire instead of what you dread, you tune into a version of the universe where your desires are already real. That's the paradox most people miss. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, not who you pretend to be, not what you post online, not what you visualize once a week, but who you truly are when no one's watching. The vibration you hold when you're lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, that is your true signal. That is your true request to the universe. You may be praying with words, but if your heart is steeped in fear, you are broadcasting fear. You may be affirming abundance, but if your inner dialogue is soaked in doubt, you are emitting scarcity. The universe does not respond to language, it responds to energy. Your life is the echo of your inner climate, and yet, here's the beauty: this climate can change, not in decades, but in moments, in a breath, in a choice, in a single decision. To believe differently, that decision is not just personal, it is alchemical. Because belief is not passive, it is creative. When you believe in your own worth, the universe begins to mirror back that worth. People treat you differently. Doors open. The right person calls. When you believe you are supported, support finds you. It shows up in unlikely forms, from strangers, in dreams, in books, in whispers. The mind is not a container, it is a transmitter. It sends signals into the quantum field and receives signals in return. Those signals arrive as intuition, synchronicity, inspiration, or sometimes even as resistance nudging you away from the wrong direction. But most people are so busy managing what they think they see that they ignore the subtle feedback loops that are shaping their path. They live reactive lives, thinking that life happens to them instead of realizing it is happening through them, with them, and because of them. When you recognize the dialogue between your mind and the universe, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a sculptor of experience. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop forcing and start allowing. You stop begging and start aligning. But to do this, you must turn inward. You must become a listener of your own state. You must observe your thoughts not to suppress them, but to transform them. You must become fluent in your own energy. Self-awareness is the ignition switch. Presence is the accelerator. Intention is the steering wheel. And surrender is the GPS. Surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the understanding that the mind can shape the universe, but not control it. That there is a higher intelligence that speaks in synchronicity, in silence, in stillness. When the mind is quiet, the voice of the universe becomes clear. That is when ideas appear out of nowhere, when healing rushes in, when the person you needed to meet suddenly shows up. This is the mind-universe feedback loop at work. The more coherent your energy, the faster the loop responds. The more scattered your energy, the more static you receive. And coherence is not complexity, it is simplicity. It is when your thoughts, emotions, and actions all sing the same song. When what you want, what you feel, and what you do are in harmony. That harmony vibrates into the field like a beacon, and the universe responds in kind. This is why two people can live in the same city, with the same opportunities, yet one thrives and the other struggles. It is not luck, it is not fate, it is not karma, It is frequency. The internal determines the external. The mind does not just alter the universe, it selects the version of the universe it enters. This is the multiverse theory brought into daily life, every moment. You are shifting through parallel versions of reality based on your state of consciousness. There is no fixed world, there are infinite worlds, and your mind is the navigator. You don't have to see the entire staircase. You don't have to understand the science. You only have to take the next step in faith, in clarity, in intention. Your consistent inner work does more to shape your future than 1,000 external efforts. Meditate, visualize, affirm, but above all, feel it. Because it is not what you do occasionally, but what you believe persistently that shapes your field. Your mind is not broken. It is brilliant. It is designed to create, not to survive, but to expand. When you recognize that your perception is a projector, not a camera, you start editing the film instead of complaining about the screen. You stop trying to fix the mirror and start adjusting your face. You become conscious of the fact that nothing changes until your perception does. But once it does, everything changes. Not just how things appear, but what things appear. New people, new ideas, new money, new health, new peace. These are not accidents. These are reflections. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your ally. But it must be trained, fed with truth, cleansed of old programming, released from inherited fear, rewritten with courage. Your brain is plastic, it rewires itself based on repeated focus. So if you continually focus on what's missing, the circuits of lack grow stronger. But if you train your mind to find gratitude, even in the small things, you reprogram the neural network to expect and attract more things to be grateful for. This is not just neuroscience, it is neuroalchemy. You are not changing your mind for fun. You are tuning it like an instrument to the symphony of the universe. And when it is in tune, the song of your life begins to harmonize. The dissonance fades, the struggle softens, and flow begins. Flow is not a fantasy, it is a frequency. When you feel good, not because of what is happening, but because of what you choose to believe, you enter that stream. You glide instead of push. You magnetize instead of pursue. You become luminous, magnetic, alive. People feel it. They don't know why they're drawn to you, but they are. They don't know why they trust you, but they do. That's not charisma, it's coherence. When your inner world is at peace, your outer world begins to match. But it takes courage to believe before the proof, to trust before the evidence, to speak before it manifests. That is the edge most never cross. But you are not here to be most people. You are here to remember who you are: a creator, a transmitter, a fractal of the infinite, bending the fabric of possibility with every belief you hold and every vibration you emit. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are not late. You are the very force you've been waiting for, the very light you've been chasing, the very answer you've been praying for. You are the signal. You are the shift. You are the silent revolution that will ripple through timelines and rearrange the structure of reality. Not just for yourself, but for those around you, for generations to come. For the collective consciousness rising like a tide behind your decision to believe in a deeper, wilder, more beautiful truth than what the world taught you to accept as real, because somewhere deep within, beyond the noise, beyond the fear, beyond the logic and the rules and the reasons, you already know this has always been the truth, and you were born to remember it now, and everything in your life has been leading to this moment where you reclaim your mind, not as a prisoner of the past, but as a portal to the future that only you can access, only you can unlock, and only you can walk into with eyes wide open and heart blazing and soul finally free to alter. Not just the universe you see, but the one you silently call into being every single day with the power of the thoughts you think, and the love you dare to feel, and the version of yourself you now choose to become. They told you the universe is vast, impersonal, and indifferent to your existence. They taught you to believe that you are just a speck in the cosmos, floating without purpose, without influence, without power. But the truth is not what they told you. The truth is that your mind is the brush that paints the canvas of your life, and your beliefs are the vibrations that mold the unseen. Every second, you are transmitting frequencies that attract, repel, mold, and reshape what unfolds before you. You are not just an observer, you are a creator cloaked in the illusion of separation. The moment you understand that reality is not fixed, but fluid, malleable by your perceptions, you begin to reclaim your divine inheritance. The game changes the moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What am I believing that is creating this?" Your mind is not a passive receiver of life. It is the core projector of your experience. Every expectation you carry, whether conscious or hidden deep within the folds of your subconscious, becomes a thread in the fabric of what you live. The problem is, most people are living through borrowed beliefs. They inherit limitations from family, culture, religion, media, and peers, never questioning the validity of the very thoughts shaping their reality. These inherited scripts become the architecture of their mental world, and that mental world becomes the foundation for the physical one. You can't build a palace on a cracked foundation. You can't manifest freedom with a mindset enslaved to fear. The good news is, once you see the mechanism, you can change it. Once you awaken to the fact that you are not your thoughts but the awareness behind them, you can take the driver's seat of your life and steer it in a direction of your choosing. It all begins with inner clarity, until you become brutally honest about the stories you are telling yourself. You will continue to repeat the same patterns disguised in different costumes. Life is a mirror. It does not lie. It reflects what you deeply, truly, and energetically believe, whether you are aware of those beliefs or not. That's why two people can walk into the same room, face the same situation, and experience two completely different realities. One sees opportunity, the other sees defeat. One sees beauty, the other sees brokenness. What's the difference? The mind behind the eyes, the perception guiding the senses. When you change the lens through which you see the world rearranges itself to match the frequency of that lens. It is not magic, it is resonance. Everything is energy, and energy follows thought. If your thoughts are drenched in fear, self-doubt, anger, and bitterness, you become a magnet for chaos. Not because you're cursed, but because you're in harmony with that frequency. If your thoughts are aligned with gratitude, abundance, courage, and peace, you become a tuning fork for miracles. The universe is not judging you, it's responding. To you, it gives you what you're broadcasting, not what you're begging for. That's why desperation rarely works. Begging and pleading are the languages of scarcity. But belief, deep conviction, and inner knowing, that's the frequency of alignment. That's the signal that turns thoughts into form. But this alignment requires inner discipline. You have to train your mind the way an athlete trains their body. Repetition, intention, focus. You don't get fit by going to the gym once, and you don't get aligned by thinking positively once in a while. You must reprogram your inner dialogue. You must become the guardian of your mental gate. Every time you choose to believe in your vision rather than your fear, you build a new neural path. Every time you choose to respond with peace instead of reacting with rage, you carve out new energetic territory. Every time you honor your worth rather than shrinking to please others, you affirm a new identity. These small choices, made moment by moment, day by day, become the gravitational field of your future. The internal always precedes the external. There is no shortcut around this. If you want a different life, you must become a different thinker. You must become emotionally fluent, able to feel your emotions fully without letting them drive the vehicle of your actions. Most people are ruled by suppressed emotions that leak into their behavior and sabotage their desires. They don't realize that emotional chaos is the static that blocks the signal of intention. When you clean up your emotional energy, your clarity returns, and with clarity comes power. This is why healing is not a luxury, it is a requirement. You cannot manifest from a wounded identity. The beliefs that were formed in trauma, betrayal, or abandonment create energetic echoes that keep repeating unless consciously transformed. You cannot attract unconditional love while believing you are unworthy. You cannot attract abundance while carrying guilt about having more than others. The universe cannot override your dominant internal frequency. You must become what you wish to receive. You must become the frequency of what you desire. That's the sacred paradox. Your outer life is a reflection of your inner state, and your inner state is the soil in which your reality grows. If your garden is full of weeds, no amount of wishing will make flowers bloom. You must go inward. Pull out the weeds of doubt, fear, and resentment. plant the seeds of worthiness, courage, and belief. And then you must water those seeds with consistent focus, aligned action, and trust in divine timing. People often ask, but what if I'm doing all the right things and still nothing changes? The answer lies in your subconscious alignment. You might consciously want success, but subconsciously believe it's unsafe. You might consciously want love, but subconsciously fear vulnerability. That's why awareness is not enough. You must integrate what you know. True transformation happens when your subconscious programming matches your conscious desires. And this integration requires stillness, reflection, and deep inner work. Meditation is not just a relaxation technique, it is the gateway to self-awareness. In silence, you begin to see the hidden drivers behind your choices. In stillness, you begin to feel the subtle energies you've ignored. And once you become conscious of these forces, you are no longer a slave to them. You can shift them, transmute them, release them, and replace them with energies that serve your highest path. Everything is frequency. Every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every thought you entertain, it all emits a signal. That signal attracts or repels. When you complain, you amplify what you hate. When you bless what you have, you invite more to bless. Your words are spells. Your emotions are magnets. Your beliefs are blueprints. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aligned. You don't need to know every step. You just need to walk in faith. You don't need to force anything. Because when you're aligned, the right people, opportunities, and resources appear with uncanny precision. This is not wishful thinking, it is energetic law. And once you begin living in this state of awareness, life becomes lighter. Not because you're avoiding hardship, but because you're moving with trust. You know that whatever comes is either a gift or a lesson, and both are sacred. Your mind is a multidimensional instrument, and most people are only using a fraction of its power. They are stuck in loops of doubt, worry, and comparison, while their true power lies dormant. You were not born to be a victim of circumstance. You were born to be a conscious creator. But you must remember, you must wake up from the dream of powerlessness. You must reclaim the parts of yourself that you abandoned to fit in. You must speak to yourself the way a loving creator speaks to its creation, with reverence, with love, with awe. You are the portal through which divine intelligence expresses itself. You are not here by accident. Your existence is a vibration that echoes into eternity. What you think matters. What you feel matters. What you believe matters. Because it all shapes what you call reality. There is no greater illusion than separation. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself through the lens of a unique consciousness. The stars you gaze at are made of the same particles as your body. The rhythm of your heart mirrors the pulse of the cosmos. When you breathe in, you inhale a breath that once passed through kings, warriors, mystics, and sages. Nothing is random. Everything is connected. And the moment you honor this truth, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You stop resisting and start receiving. You stop doubting and start allowing. And in that space of allowing, miracles become the norm, not the exception. Because you are no longer pushing against the current of truth. You are finally moving with it, and that current knows where to take you. The most extraordinary power in the universe is not a force outside of you, but the force within your own mind. It's been there all along, quietly shaping your experience, influencing your emotions, and orchestrating the events that unfold around you. Most people go through life reacting to what they see, assuming that reality is fixed, solid, and objective. But those who dare to look deeper uncover the magnificent truth. The mind is the architect of the universe you live in. The final chapter of this journey is not just a conclusion, it is a return to your true nature. A revelation that everything you've ever desired to become was always waiting within your consciousness. You are not just in the universe. The universe is in you. Every belief you've held, every assumption you've made, every fear you've entertained has painted the canvas of your world. You've seen darkness when you believed in limitation. You've seen light when you trusted your inner voice. You've encountered chaos when you lost connection with your power. And you've found clarity when you chose silence over noise. The way your life has unfolded is not a product of chance or randomness, it is a response, a mirror, a perfect reflection of your inner world. This truth is both liberating and daunting, because it places ultimate responsibility in your hands. But this responsibility is not a burden. It's a divine invitation that all the great mystics, teachers, philosophers, and thinkers across time and cultures pointed toward this same eternal principle. From the temples of ancient Egypt to the Himalayan caves, from the poetic verses of Rumi to the scientific frontiers of quantum physics, the message is unwavering. Consciousness is the root of reality. Your thoughts are not passive. Your emotions are not background noise. Your imagination is not fantasy. They are the blueprint of your life's architecture. When you learn to hold a thought long enough, believe in it deeply enough, and feel it strongly enough, you set universal forces into motion, and these forces do not fail. They align matter, time, people, and events to shape your outer world. The question then is not what will happen to you. The question is, what will you allow yourself to believe? What will you choose to feel? What reality will you create with the instrument of your mind? The mind is not bound by past failures, trauma, or conditioning unless you allow it to be. It is not a prisoner, it is a key. Every time you focus, every time you visualize, every time you affirm something with certainty, you alter the invisible scaffolding that gives shape to your life. Every word you speak, especially about yourself, carries energetic weight. Every internal dialogue becomes an instruction to the field of reality. Whether you call it the subconscious mind, the quantum field, or divine intelligence, it listens. It obeys. It reflects. This isn't about wishful thinking. This is about mastery. Wishful thinking waits and hopes. Mental mastery commands and creates. There's a difference between hoping for something to happen and knowing that it will, because you've already seen it, felt it, and believed it within. That inner certainty, the one that feels quiet yet unshakable, is not a coincidence. It's evidence that you've aligned your consciousness with the frequency of the outcome. And when you do that, time becomes irrelevant. You no longer beg the world to give you signs. You become the sign. You no longer wait for the world to give you permission. You give yourself permission to become the version of you that already exists in your highest imagination. The universe does not withhold from you. It only responds to you. And the way it responds is vibrational, energetic, invisible. It is the reason why two people can walk into the same situation and walk out with different experiences. One sees opportunity, one sees threat, one grows, one crumbles. The difference is not the world, it's the filter through which they perceive it. And that filter is built by the mind. That's why your most valuable asset is not money, not status, not even knowledge. It is your awareness. Because what you are unaware of, you cannot control. But what you become aware of, you can transform. Every emotion is a signal. Every trigger is a teacher. Every challenge is a mirror reflecting something within you that wants to evolve. Nothing is meaningless. Nothing is random. Everything is connected. There is a sacred silence beneath all the noise. It is the place where thoughts originate, where stillness breathes life into creativity, where answers arise before the questions are asked. When you learn to rest in that silence, you don't escape the world, you transcend it. You begin to operate from a deeper intelligence, one that doesn't need to know how everything will unfold because it already trusts the unfolding. This is the mind in alignment with the source, and from this alignment, you speak differently, you walk differently, you manifest differently, because you are no longer reacting. You are radiating. You are transmitting the frequency of your higher self, and this frequency alters the universe. Not just metaphorically but literally. Studies in neuroscience and quantum physics show that observation itself affects the outcome. The mind is not passive. The observer is a participant in reality. Your attention, your intention, your expectation, these are not small forces. They are the levers by which reality is moved. But to access this power, you must be disciplined. You must guard your thoughts. You must choose your words with care. You must stop repeating the narrative of powerlessness. You must stop arguing for your limitations. Because every time you do, you cast a vote for that version of the universe to remain. If you want a new reality, you must speak a new truth, even if it's only a whisper at first, even if no one around you understands it, even if your circumstances seem to scream the opposite. Because reality is slow to change at first. But once it starts shifting, it moves with momentum. And that momentum is built by consistency, consistent belief, consistent thought, consistent emotion. When you begin to show up as the version of you that already has the life you desire, the universe doesn't ask questions. It aligns, it reorganizes, it recalibrates the world around you to reflect the world within you. The key is persistence. Not force, not desperation, but persistent faith, persistent imagination, persistent alignment. That's the difference between the people who talk about what they want and the people who actually live it. They didn't get lucky. They got focused. They didn't stumble into success. They designed it with the quiet, invisible tools of the mind. You have those tools too. You've always had them, but perhaps you forgot. Perhaps you were taught to. Look outside yourself for answers. Perhaps you were conditioned to believe in struggle, in scarcity, in separation. But that conditioning is not your identity. It is a layer to be shed, not a truth to be lived. You are the cosmos in motion, a fragment of divine consciousness experiencing itself through thought, emotion, and form. When you remember this not just intellectually, but experientially, everything changes. You begin to feel it in your bones, in your breath, in your being. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are powerful beyond imagination. The walls that surround you are paper thin when viewed through the eyes of the mind. That knows its power. And when you begin to see with those eyes, speak with that voice, and live with that truth, the universe does not delay. It responds, it opens, it rearranges itself in perfect harmony with your new frequency. So let this be the moment you reclaim your inner power. Let this be the turning point where you stop seeking and start embodying. You don't need more proof. You don't need more permission. You are enough, as you are right now. The tools are within. The map is within. The truth is within. And the universe is listening. It's waiting for your instruction, your decision, your belief. Because the moment you decide to think like the creator of your reality, you become the creator of your universe. That is the ultimate secret. That is the final key. That is how your mind alters the universe.